What's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at industrysyndicate.com and mindshare101.com. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems. This is episode 44. She is a nationally recognized speaker who has been on stages at NAR, Inman, and Realtor.com, to name a few. Actually, I met her a few years back, saw her on stage live, and was totally locked into her presentation. Connecting with her afterwards, we then realized that, well, we've got a bunch of mutual friends, and, well, we ended up getting to know each other better, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Traveling around to different events, and through the power of social media, we have continued to stay in touch. And every time I get to watch her present live, I am still on the edge of my seat as we have so much in common when it comes to beliefs and visions in this industry. She is the happiest person in real estate. She is living the dream in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, with her husband, 4 daughters, and 2 very small dogs. On the daily, she nurtures a culture of service among her agents. Having started her real estate business out of necessity, back when the recession was in full swing, she built the top producing The Cape House brand, and did so by focusing on existing relationships and building new ones. Here with us today on the Mindshare Podcast is Katie Clancy, Director of Business Development at William Ravis and team lead at the Cape House team. Katie, thank you for being here with us today.
I need a walk-on song. I need boots, boots, boots after that intro. That was awesome.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
So, that was amazing. Thank you so much, David.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you made the time. And I know you're at a conference. You're probably doing some speaking at some point today. So I love the fact that you were able to make some time. But the timing couldn't have been better. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. But you know that my message is all about building mindshare. And I want our audiences, my listeners, our listeners, and everybody out there in this industry to understand how important it is to be connecting with people every single day, and how that right there really is the key to their success, right? I mean, we know that, and we've talked about this one, we know that there is what we like to call that 80-20 rule. 80% of the people don't do much, and the other 20% like do 80% of the business or more. But most of the time, I do believe that although I believe that thing might be deeper rooted, like that some people are just not cut out for this business and truly don't know what it means to get out there, do the things they're supposed to be doing. And in many cases, you know, although people are looking to support their families, this business and not having the right plans for each day, put it bluntly, it can totally kick the shit out of you mentally, like leading you into more issues, right? So the timing of this episode, like I said to you before, having you join us today, it couldn't be better. I was saying that we are in week 1 of the Mindshare Challenge, and this week was all about focusing on setting goals, having your vision, you know, creating a vision board, knowing exactly what you need to do every single day, including managing time so that you can ultimately achieve everything you want in life. So again, I'm really excited that you're here. I also mentioned that you're the happiest person in real estate, and you say that your goal is to make real estate the happiest industry in the world. So I guess before getting there, so that everybody kind of gets a sense of like, why you today? Can you give us a little bit of a background where you were mentally or even emotionally, even financially, when you first decided to get into this business? Because as I recall, it wasn't the happiest of times.
No. So by this time, people are, you know, we're 10 years or so out of the recession. So people are starting to tell their recession stories. I think I may have been one of the first to be out there and just like pour it all out. I'll try to do it in a nutshell. I started real estate with the best laid plans. I was very well organized. I had a day job that I kept because I had benefits, and I knew that it would take a little while to get this thing up and running. I'm not an idiot. My husband had a great business. We were doing all right. I just got the last of my kids in school full time. So I was like, let's do this. So
let's do this. I love that line.
Yeah. So God had other plans. Within about 18 months, the first bank collapsed. My husband's business failed. I got pregnant, and you know, in those 18 months, had that baby. So now I've got a newborn, no job because I don't, you know, my old job I finished that year. My husband's business has gone under, and we almost were losing our house. I was depressed. I was destitute. I mean, we had so little money. My husband and I actually did the math. We couldn't even afford to get divorced.
Oh my
and
God.
we did do that math because it was bad. We had some health issues. I actually got pregnant again, and this about put us over the edge. So I've got 4 kids now. I'm drowning in debt, miserable. Don't even know how I got pregnant, by the way, but that's another story.
That's a little scary, but okay.
And we're like 2 weeks before Christmas, and it's about the peak of like, I don't know if I can handle much more. And pretty deep into the pregnancy, we lost the baby. And I about lost my mind. I can say it now without crying, but it was the lowest I've never, and I am a happy person by nature. It was a dark, dark time. But the brilliant thing that came out of that, when I thought I had nothing left, and I couldn't grab onto anything, the only thing I could do, because God, I could not help myself. I obviously could not help myself. It kept getting worse. Is I realized that I could just try to be good to somebody else. And I wrapped my head around, and I don't even know where this came from. I said, all right, I can't get out of my own way. I'll just try to be a blessing to somebody else. And so I would just look for the next nice thing that I could do, because it was good. It could take the focus off of me and my misery. So I would actually said a nice thing to my husband, whose guts I hated at the time, or I would just be kinder and gentler with my children. I was miserable. You would not have liked me then, but I started to change. I started to just try to be nice to everybody that I saw, basically be a blessing. And heck, if I didn't start to feel a little better, and then, oh my gosh, well, then I got a little bit of business, and then I got out of bed a little bit easier. And, all that stuff starts to compound. And before I knew it, I was kicking ass everywhere, like everywhere. My marriage turned around. I honestly thank God that I did not make that decision to split up. I could not ask for more, what we have in my family right now. I don't even have the words. It's so great. And business is amazing too. Listen, there are hard days. There are moments. There are always things. Life is life, and it happens. But the big picture, the macro, frickin' amazeballs. Wouldn't change a thing.
I love hearing that. That is, I remember when you shared that story on stage at Inman 4 years ago now, 3 years ago. I didn't remember, but I remember just sitting there and like, I can still see some of your screens, like the visuals that you would put up on the screens, right? Like the screens. Yep. I can see the screens. I can still see it in my head though. I remember, screen. But I still see it. Like I remember that presentation, and it was one of those things where you sat there and you go, yeah, like that's real life. That's true story, right? And it's not that some people go through less, some people go through more. But absolutely. It was the mindset shift that you had that really changed things,
hands
right?
Down, that was it. When I just decided to be a blessing to somebody else. And it's kind of funny, recently, actually Harvard's about to come up with a study about what is the source of happiness, because I'm doing a lot of research on this right now. Where does it come from? And the 2 biggest triggers for happiness, one is learning new things, but the other is helping somebody else. When you help somebody else, you open this loop of good mojo, basically. And actually, I found in my business, if I apply this whole reciprocity thing, I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but the give to get thing that we all hear in our business, sales, any kind of sales and entrepreneurship, is wildly misunderstood. It is abused, and it's just hacked. You guys, the give to get, this is how it works. You give, and then you move on. And then you don't be attached to what happens next. You don't give, and then you're like, okay, when do I get? Is the get now? Because that's not giving. A gift is not a gift if it isn't given freely. You've got to be attached to the activities that you're doing. So the activities that you're doing, it's in real estate, if you're having parties, if you're sending notes, if you're giving presents, whatever you're doing, just give and move on. And let the universe do the rest of the work, because otherwise you're acting like someone owes you something. And if you're acting like somebody owes you something, you're never going to get it. You're never going to get what you're really after. And if you get it, it's not going to last. What I'm talking about, what I do, and all of the philosophy and all of the stuff that I teach and that I do, is all about sustainable business, sustainable relationships. The stuff that I talk about, it's a freaking long run. These are not one-offs. These are not things like, oh my God, I have to pay my mortgage today. There's plenty of tactics. There's plenty of tools and things that you can do. What's up, my fans? Oh my God, stop it. Come on, God.
You got so many of those, you know?
They're everywhere, all three of them.
I love it.
There's no shortage of sources to find a tactic to turn over some business today, or if you're just getting going and you need business right now, there's plenty of things that you could do. And you, by the way, do not need to sell your soul to do those things either. This is not an either or. You can still be a good human being and generate tons of business and fast business. The thing that I realized is I don't even know why I got into real estate. This is insane. My degree is in zoology. Okay. I thought I was going to be a doctor, maybe a midwife. And then I was thinking nursing, and I don't know what I was, but I was all about the science. I love science, analysis, and critters and all that stuff. And I won't, the line from zoology to real estate agent is weird, and I'm not.
Yeah, it's just percolating that one.
Here I am. Yeah. But if I really knew what real estate was really about before, a boot.
I was just about to do it. Yeah. Dustin's watching right now. I know he's going a boot, bro, leave me alone.
If I really knew that in the first 2 years I would, on like the median gross income for a real estate agent is under $10,000 in the US. If I knew that the median gross income for the average American realtor is $42,800, which by the way is 20% below the median for everybody who does everything in the country. Wow. If I knew that our levels of depression, suicide, divorce, and substance abuse were higher than the average bear, I don't think I would have done this. And if you're a new agent listening to this, sorry, we didn't tell you.
Thought we'd just scare the shit out of you here.
Yeah, you have to know that that's the reality. But I know why. I know exactly why. I know exactly how to fix it. So take heart, okay? There's actually one more thing that really trips us up, is that we imagine that we have to choose between money and happiness. Somehow we got this idea that hustle means don't sleep, don't spend time with your family, don't eat, don't take care of yourself. That's what hustle means. Ask anybody who knows me. That's not what hustle means to me. So here are the 5 ways that we mess this up. And we do it because we're not conscious. We don't have our heads on straight. And the great thing is it's so easy to just flip these all right on our head. So the number one thing that we do is we work for ourselves. And that's how we're taught. We are taught, get out there, get the dollar, close, 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 always be closing, objection handling, buy, follow up till they buy or die, all that stuff. Now that's all true, but you gotta have the right mindset to go into that stuff, or you are going to hate yourself. First, people are going to hate you, and then you're going to hate yourself. It's not going to take very long. You might make a lot of money, but good luck enjoying it. So we work for our money. We work for ourselves. Number 2, we tend to, am I right, David? We see people at a very vulnerable time, like when they're buying and selling houses, and we tend to see them kind of at their worst. Mm-hmm. We kind of get under the hood a little bit. We get behind the scenes and we see people under duress. This is a big deal. And they're not always showing us their best selves, whether it is your client, your co-broke, the other client, the buyer, or the seller. The mistake that we make is that we judge those people in those moments. We make up that that's all they are, right, is they're big jerks. Buyers are liars. That is one of the worst things that we could possibly say about buyers. And I'll get to how we can flip that around. Yeah. The third thing we do is we try to wear all the hats. We're greedy. We're greedy. We want all the money. We don't want to share the money. So we try to do everything. What we don't realize is real estate is a business. You are an entrepreneur. You are a business owner. You have to have all 3 legs of the stool handled. You got to be a visionary. You got to be the technician. You got to be out there in the weeds doing the work. And you've got to be the manager. You've got to handle your office stuff. You got to track your numbers. You've got to pay things. You've got to buy things. You've got to track things. You're not good at all 3. I'm not good at all 3. Why should I not let someone else do those so I can spend time in my lane? Number 4, we freeze up. So we start up, we learn all our stuff, we go to a few conferences, read a couple books, we're like, great, I'm a real estate agent. And then we never get better. Or we go, we do all that stuff, and then stuff gets hard and we go, and we just get paralyzed and we don't do anything. Either way, we just stop improving, and we stay right where we are, whether we're complacent or freaked out. And the fifth thing we do, we're kind of bitchy. We tend to have a bad attitude. We do. We're kind of snarky. We get negative. We get a little jaded. And you'll notice we've all made these mistakes where you just kind of get on that negative slope, and it's a slippery one. You gotta get out of there. So the 5 things that you can do to get out of there. Number 1, you have to have a why that's about other people. When you start thinking about someone else's mortgage, someone else's trip to Disney with their kids, someone else's new home, marriage, or, death in the family, if you start focusing on them, first of all, it's kind of energizing. Like, well, how can I help them make this transition? Because newsflash, if you help them make this transition that they came to you for, they're going to pay you. And if you focus on them while they're doing it and make them feel good while they're doing it, they're going to hire you again, and they're going to send you more business. That's how this keeps going. And you have this loop of not only money, but good feeling. So you're incentivized to go and do it again the same way, as opposed to when you do a crappy deal where you're like, oh my God, I hated those people. That was the worst. They were like, me every day, when you didn't think about why maybe they were like that. And you're like, you never want to see them again. They never want to see you. They never call you, because you were just thinking about how fast you could get through with that transaction, rather than how much value can I deliver to these people for what they need right now. Number 2, speaking of rough transactions, you got to see people, you got to see the best in people. So this is what I do. So let's say you've got a co-broke or a client or a prospect, and it's getting a little pointy. People are getting a little snippy, and the tension is building, and you're like, I don't want to answer this phone. You got to take a breath. All right, what do you know about that person? I'm going to use the co-broke example first, because I think that's where, like, I think it's easier for us to love up on our clients, because they're our little money makers. That's where they're going to pay it, right?
Yeah.
But we're not as good at it with our co-brokes, which is stupid, because they're your sales force. If you don't play nice in the sandbox, nobody's going to want to show your listings. Nobody's going to be like, oh, it's Katie's listing. This is going to be the worst.
We're going to go see her again.
Yeah, I don't want to call her. So I want you to look at that co-broke and just think about them for a minute and look on their hand. Do they have a wedding ring? Oh, wrong hand. Do they have a wedding ring? Do they have pictures? Do you know that they have a family? Like, you know what? That means someone thinks they hung the moon. Someone is madly in love with that person. That person is somebody else's whole world, especially if they're a parent. And you know what? You got to look at them like that. You got to remember, here's my favorite one. David, you've held a baby, because you have babies.
Of course, absolutely.
And have you ever held a baby and looked at them and thought, oh my God, you're such an asshole? Have you?
No.
Why are you so uptight?
You can see why I love her.
Like,
no, I certainly not.
And says that. Well, guess what? That person over there that you're thinking horrible things about was a teeny little baby one time, and there's still that teeny little baby on the inside, right? And you are too. Like, we're all human. We all came from that. You've got to have a little bit more compassion, empathy, really. And here's the cool thing about that dynamic. When you stop fighting with them, because you can fight and you're going to end up, you don't know where you're going to land. You might dominate them and, I guess, win. But if you come at them from that empathetic place, you come from you rise up. You're not fighting, but you rise up in a bit of a higher, truly more powerful place. Don't abuse it.
Yep.
Because you do have power. Now they're like, oh, and they open up a little bit and they let their guard down. And now we can have real communication, because you're seeing them as a person. You're finding a way to connect. This doesn't have to be someone you're going to go have drinks with. It doesn't have to be your best friend, but just, you got to see them as a human being. And damn, I'll tell you, I have found the coolest things about the most annoying people. I have learned, when I just shut up and listened, I've learned about, like, they're a cancer survivor that I didn't know about. I learned that we have common friends that I never would have predicted. I learned that we both went to the same school in some cases. Yeah. And we actually had a lot in common, and we bonded. And I'm like, shame on me for judging them when they were like freaking out about something, that, you know, there was one I was doing a deal with, and I had no idea her son was being hospitalized for like a major illness. She was a huge bitch. And I was like, oh, all right. You know what? You call me back when you can. Let's put this whole thing on hold. I'll let my clients know, no sweat. And that goes on the other side. It's okay for you to let your guard down a little bit. It's a fine line between like playing the cancer card and actually being transparent, being like, look, you know what? I've got to drive my dad to chemo.
Yeah.
It's not a fun day for me when I do that. Forgive me for what I say today and how I act. I'm going to do my best. And then people are like, okay, great. All right. They give you a pass a little bit when that stuff is going on. You just got to humanize it a little bit. And I'll tell you what, that has been one of the most powerful things that I've done in my business.
I think that's a big deal. Just to say something from, but I think that's massive. And that was a chord that just struck with me, and it's something that I think about. And I mean this, and I believe I brought this up with my folks the other day in the Mindshare Challenge. But you know, you're driving down the street and somebody does something to cut you off or piss you off, and it's, you know, there's a lot of times we can sit there and let that muddle around in our mind all day, like that person was an asshole, and you know, how could they drive like that, and now I'm irked and I'm in a bad mood and all these other things. You know, we don't think in that moment, why did that person do that? Maybe they're just a bad driver. Maybe they just don't give a shit about anybody else on the road. Or maybe they had to get somewhere, to a hospital or something was going on that we don't know about, and they had to move. And it could be anything.
By the way, have you ever
cut
someone off?
That's right. And that's the thing. And so it's
like, I'm going to be an asshole.
Right. No. We're not doing it like that. We're just doing our thing without thinking about others. And then when something else happens with others, it's like we tweak and we start going, wait a second, how could you do that? And now we have this perception of that individual. We don't think about what's going on in their life. We don't think about why it happened. We just go, I don't like you. And you did this to me. Right. It's the wrong way to go about it. And it is so hard, especially with people that are hot-headed. I don't know any of those people, but you know, especially, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it is so hard to change that mentality and go, wait a second. That's that snap moment right there where you just got stop, breathe.
I've got a book for you. I've got a book for you, and anybody else out there who is kind of like, you're talking about me. Leadership and Self-Deception. I forget the author's name, and I should have had it written down right now. But Leadership and Self-Deception. And you know what else? I have a song for you.
Oh.
I'm not going to sing it, but
I was going to say, are you about to sing for us?
Actually, I did sing this.
Did you really?
I did. Luke Bryan's I believe most people are good, or most people are good. We actually, for karaoke for cancer, for Ravis, we were doing a karaoke for cancer challenge, and I busted it out on piano, sang it. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you where to find it. It's
yeah. Go, man. I didn't know you could do all that. That's cool. I mean, mind you, I shouldn't put that past you, though, because, you know.
I actually am a really good singer. I actually thought I chickened out of going into music in college because I just didn't have the courage. I didn't believe I could do it. So now I just sing.
Well, we know you can run a stage. That's one thing for sure.
I do love a stage.
So I cut you off on those points. You were going on the 5.
Number 2. Yeah. So those first 2 are really about relationships and about being with other people and how you are in the world. About other people. Yes. Number 3 is the one where we're trying to go greedy. We try to wear all the hats. And Sasha Farmer was the first one who introduced this concept to me. If you don't follow Sasha, follow her. She's in Charlottesville. She's a Storyhouse Real Estate. I totally fangirl over her. She's a CRS. She, if you ever have a chance to go to one of her presentations, she is total open the kimono, will share everything with you. And she had a huge impact on my business. But one of the things she said was—
Last name, Farmer?
Farmer.
Got it.
Like Farmer in the Dell.
Sasha Farmer, yep.
Sasha Farmer. And she said, don't be greedy. She brought that concept up, and I'm like, damn, you're right. I'm trying to do everything. I'm not going to pay anybody to help me with social. I'm not going to pay anybody to do my books. I'm not going to pay anybody to help me with my paperwork. No, I need all my money. I can't afford it. Bullshit. Okay. That is a bunch of crap. You need, as soon as possible, to start farming out the things that you stink at or that you don't like. And Tom Ferry has an exercise where you kind of go through your whole day, your whole week, your whole month, and just write out all of the tasks that you do. And next to each one of those, put red light, green light, yellow light. Red light things are things you don't like to do, you're not good at, either or both. Green light things are like, I could do this all day and I'm the king of it. And yellow, you're like kind of on the fence, you're not sure, you kind of like it or you're kind of good at it, you're not really sure what. The red light list is the job description for your next hire.
Ha.
Is that brilliant?
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I was reading a book. Have you read Unstoppable?
Not yet.
I will get you the author's name, but it's funny because I had read a book just prior to that. And it was talking about a lot of the same things. And then it was and then I read this one. I was like, oh my God, two totally different authors coming from two totally different styles and everything else, probably different age groups. And they were saying a lot of the same thing. And they were talking about, and I think this goes kind of hand in hand with this, but it was that idea. And I was having this conversation with somebody here in my office. You've really got to go through a lot of people when you're trying to hire people to figure out what you ultimately want and then who those people are. And when I start taking that back to like my beautiful hockey analogies, right? It's if you don't shoot on net, you're never going to score. But the more you shoot, the more chances of scoring you get. We just don't know which shots are going in. So it's much like the same thing as hiring people is when you're going through that, you are going to face a lot of people that you look at and go, we don't jive together. We don't have the same wavelengths together. You're not really there to do what I need. But then there was something in there that said, you first need to determine what it is you're really looking for.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Tom Ferry's from
red
yours.
light, green light, man.
It makes a lot of sense though, right?
It's really powerful.
And so everybody listening understands too, that doesn't mean that if you're not running a business with staff or you're not doing interviews, but this could come down to people that you do need, like Katie just said, to help you with writing something or graphics, anything, right?
No, you just gave everybody an out. I'm not going to give them an out. Everybody who is working in real estate has access to an admin of some sort somewhere in the organization. And that admin has lots of things that they can be doing for you and would do for you if you just asked.
And you got to know what it is.
You have to pay that person.
Right.
So go through your stuff, bring the list to the admin and be like, is this any of the stuff that you can help me with? Is this stuff that you do? And she'd be like, hell yeah, I can help you with the CRM stuff. Oh yeah, I'll sort your database. Absolutely. And you're like, I never knew. Yeah. You've got to try. You've got to ask. And there's. So
you have to ask the question. Massive on asking the question. Like if you don't ask the question, you're never going to know. You know, I hear so often, "Hey Dave, how'd you get that?" "Oh, I just asked." Like you just asked. You're like, "Well, it wasn't like just that."
Just
simple. But a lot of times, it just that's what it comes down to. Most people don't want to ask the question.
So on that topic, I'll come back to my list.
Yeah.
But I am up Tom Ferry's butt this week because I want him to give me an answer on something, and I'll let you know how it goes because I will not leave him alone. Okay. And he taught me that. So sorry,
can we know what it is yet or not yet? We can't know what it is yet.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Cool.
Nope.
I'm staying tuned
Secret
for that
squirrel.
one. I want to hear
it. Super secret.
I want to hear
it. So the sort of bite-sized takeaway is spend your time on the things that you're good at and that you like, and spend your money on everything else. And if you're not really sure what that is, your default should be spend your time with people. Okay, if you're in this business, it's a people business. Spend your time with people.
Thank you. Seriously,
money on everything else.
Like it drives me crazy. We went through that on Tuesday with everybody. It was like, look, your job every day, and I know I sound like a broken record to some people listening right now, but I have to say it. We think that we're buying and selling property. No. That's not what you do. You help people buy and sell property. You help people go through the biggest transaction in their entire life, some of the most stressful moments of their entire life, right? And this is where it is.
Life transition.
Yeah. Just get up and help people, connect with people. The more people you connect with in a day, the more opportunities. This comes back to the shooting and scoring analogy I just used a moment ago. The more people you do that within a day, the more opportunity you create. And when you're doing that, you're thinking, how can I help people?
How can I help? Because people freak out. They're like, oh, I want to make the call. But like, no, you're calling to help them.
But what do I say? What do I say? How about like, hi, hey, how are you? How's things? How's life?
Yeah.
Like, but you know, and this was the thing the other day, and somebody said this, and I think it was after my Inman talk, a couple of years ago there, where I did the whole thing about happy birthday and whatever. And somebody had said to me like, it was a great presentation, blah, 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 blah. He says, but I got to ask you a question. He says, you said that was income producing. And I said, well, down the road, that is income producing, but what questions do you have? He says, well, I don't get it. I'm not working a deal. I'm not working a transaction. It doesn't make sense to me. How's that income producing? And I said, okay, I got to ask you a question. He says, yeah. I said, we've been on the call for how long? He goes, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. I said, and you saw a lot of value out of the presentation earlier. He says, yeah. I said, and so far, have I been helpful with you? Like, are we talking, conversing? Am I adding value to this conversation? You go, oh man, like I loved it. Like I was so inspired. I wanted to call you. I wanted to talk tomorrow. And I can't believe we're actually on the phone right now. And I said, look, but put all that stuff aside. That's cool, but put that aside. That's not the point. Am I helping you? Yeah. Have I tried to say you anything right now? He goes, no. I said, when we get off this call, is there a chance that you might tell people in your office or colleagues or friends of yours about maybe today's presentation, this phone call, about me? He goes, oh man, I'm already talking about you. I'm like, okay, cool. That's amazing to hear. And thank you. I said, but is this an income producing call for me? And the silence started. And he was like, you could see it. I mean, you could hear it on the phone, right? He's kind of going like, and I stopped him. I'm like, buddy, absolutely this is income producing. I said, I don't know if we're ever going to do business together. And quite frankly, don't take this the wrong way. I don't care if we do. If we do, wonderful. If we don't, this is really good conversation. And in fact, as much as you're saying I inspired you, you're inspiring me right now. Okay. So I want to be here to help you and add some value, but you might do business with me. You might do something down the road. You might tell somebody about me. And maybe none of those people do business, but the more people are talking, the more opportunity I get. Well, like I like to say, the more mind share I'm building, but the more opportunity I get. So I asked him again, I said, so is this an income producing call? He goes, I get it. I said, make the birthday call.
Yeah.
Right?
Make
you know what I mean though?
Yeah.
And the birthday call is one example of, it could be
or
the
any
high,
call. Even,
anything.
Listen, if your broker's like, we're going to make these calls, this is what you're going to do, and you're going to ask for the business. Here's a little tip for everybody who's out there who's afraid to pick up the phone and make that ask for business call. Make the call, be like, David, it's Katie. Hey, before we go any further, this is a business call and I need to know.
You're using my lines.
I need to know if you get someone who's buying on the Cape because I am crushing it this year. And I just did 3 more transactions. You got to help a sister out. All right. You do? Great. You don't? Great. So how are the kids? Oh my God. When was the last time you were on the ice? So you start with the business and then the punchline is the relationship.
Yeah.
Don't start with the relationship and then the punchline is business, because what you've done is you've discounted everything you said before. It's basically you said, but.
Oh my God, somebody called me on that once, eh? I was talking to somebody and I said something to them, and this was years ago. And then I blah, 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 but, blah, blah, and he went, what? Pardon me? I went, what? He goes, what'd you just say? I said, what? So he called, because I did not catch it, and he called me out and he says, you used the word but. I said, and? He says, you just negated everything you just said to me. And I had to internalize that because I was still stumped at the moment. And then it hit me. And so now I try my very best to take that word out, or it's there for a very specific reason. And I mean, here, this will even bring me to the one
strategic use of but.
But, hey, but can I be honest with you? Right? Oh, have you been lying to me? Is everything you just said to me not the truth? Like, honestly, right? Honestly. So all that other stuff, it's these little things we don't pick up on, but the mind actually starts to process this stuff, right? And then we form an opinion.
We wrote it. We got it in there.
Right?
Process.
Oh my God. But it so is though. It so is.
Yeah.
Right? It's a process. How do you get up how do you wake up every morning? Okay.
Yeah. Everything has to be.
It's got to be. What are you doing before you go to bed at night? So that how are you prepared for the next day? But Katie, that's the stuff. But Katie, that's the stuff that most people cannot stick to. That's the stuff that people fall off of, is they go, and we said this before we went on air. You get there and they're all hyped about, the presentation or whatever, and then they walk away and they forget things, or they just don't do it because there's no time or whatever. It's too hard.
All right. One more thing down this rabbit hole, and then I want to get back on track.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about right now is, so there's a book I'm reading right now called Atomic Habits. Have you read that?
I did read it. Yes.
James Clear.
Yep.
And actually, Alyssa Hellman and I have a monthly, it's a podcast now too. We have a monthly book club on the Compass South Facebook page called Between the Lines. And this was our October book. And we've been doing this all year, but that's one of the books that we did. So this is actually a little plug for the book club every month, because Alyssa and I were like, we would really like to read more business books, more success books this year, but we never actually follow through. And it's like, what if we had a book club and it was just us and we drank beer? She's in North Carolina, I'm in Massachusetts. So we drink and we read and we talk. You want in?
She just said beer and books. I'm in.
Beer and books. And what we do is we break down these books. You don't even have to read the book. We break it down for you. We talk about our personal takeaways, and then we give ourselves accountability on the books. But that's one thing about the accountability. But the Atomic Habits is awesome about when you go to that conference, you hear that idea and you want to start that thing. How do you do it? How do you build it? I'm not going to go into it now, but I was like with the concepts on this. And I've read a lot of stuff about habit and all that stuff. Likewise. This is totally new for me.
Likewise.
All right, the fourth thing is how are we doing for time? We're good?
We're good. We're good. We're rocking. We're rocking. I knew how this one would go today. So at some point I will cut us off just to keep everybody else's time because they got other things to do in the day.
We get 4 and then we get 5 and then who knows where it's going to go. So number 4 is we freeze up. And if you're listening right now and you're frozen either because you're like, yeah, I'm good enough. I mean, I'm doing fine. Like I don't need to change because what I'm doing is working, or you're freaked out and you're paralyzed and you're not changing. You're both wrong. You need to grow, you need to change. So what are you going to do? It can be as simple as listening to a podcast, which you're doing right now. So good for you. You can pick up a book, read the book, finish the book. You can go to a conference or two. Like the one that I'm at right now, this is just a one day. It's only 2 hours from my house, no big deal. You don't have to fly to Inman. You don't have to go to San Francisco. You don't have to go out of the state to go. You probably have one in your own area, your own association, your own board has a conference. Go to it. Listen to listen to webinars, podcasts, all that stuff. Feed your brain consistently. And consistent doesn't mean a lot. It just means frequent. Yeah. So even if you just get the first half an hour of every Mindshare podcast, if you're already into this one, it doesn't matter. But you got to get off the farm. I do believe you do need to get out of your market, get out of your industry. You've got to shake out the cobwebs every once in a while so you get better. Because you're not the best you can be right now. None of us is.
You'll like it. That book on Stop will actually mention something about that right there. Like that. Get off of it. Like get out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Get out of your head too. And then the last one is we're pretty snarky and, we think it's funny, everything, but actually there's this real negative undertone that we have in the industry that is, it compounds and then we get together and we all get snarky together. And you know what, since 80% of us are doing 20% of the business, 80% of us are feeling pretty bad about things. And so we get together and we just feel worse, which is garbage. You need to stop. You need to live so that other people say, I'll have what she's having. And you do that. You know what I'm referring to? Meg Ryan scene in the diner from.
Oh my God.
From.
No.
I won't do it right now.
Okay, do it.
Look, no, it is not PG. So. So if
I've already got some check marks. I got to mark this episode as explicit because iTunes.
The Meg Ryan, the diner scene. So how do you do that though? If you're like, okay, great, that's great, I'm gonna be happy. And you just feel like crap in a really dark place, do what I did. Couple of things. One, go find someone to do something nice for. Like anybody, if you're sitting in a room and you see someone dropped a napkin, go pick it up. If you're by yourself, rack your brain, think of the next person you can write a thank you note to. If you're not going to write a thank you note, you don't have a stamp, frickin' send a text that says, Mom, thanks for having me. Like whatever, dig as deep as you have to, but go express gratitude to someone or go do something nice for someone else. If you want to kind of pro tip it, every time you think a positive thought, every time you notice something positive, verbalize it, say it. Be like, oh my God, I just so glad the weather it's like so much warmer than I thought it was going to be. This is awesome. Like, oh, you know what? Thank goodness it's raining because I totally forgot to water my garden. This is great. Like find the positive thing and name it. And that way you bring it to the forefront, and slowly but surely, if you make that a habit, you're going to change your own attitude and you're going to infect the people around you. No matter what you're doing, you're affecting them. And why not do a service to them and do it positively?
Well, and I believe that, and I love what you shared here. I mean, this to me is, we talk about the power of reciprocity. You talk about helping people, but not doing it to get any monetization back from it. Do it for the goodness of you. Do it for the goodness of the fact that you're helping somebody. And it's amazing how when you help people, in turn, the universe starts to cause things and people to help you.
Well, dude, like you and I are both like that. We can just throw our resumes out there and show the world we're killing it. We're killing life. We're killing our business. Our marriages are happy. Our kids are happy. Like life is good. And that's how we live. There might be something to it. I'm just saying. Well, and actually, this is, go ahead.
No. Finish that.
Well, I think I really want to speak to the brokers out there, the people in charge.
Yeah.
Brokers have a real blind spot. God love them. The margins for brokerages are microscopic. It is so hard, and they are under so much pressure to perform for a corporate or for their franchise or whatever it is. They've got to make these numbers. So they will miss. They're just looking at the numbers, but they're in like a desperate, they're almost like your client. They're in like super pressure mode. There's a lot on the line for them, and sometimes they just miss these pieces, and they're like, come on guys, make the calls. If you're a broker out there, I want you to listen to this too. Listen to your people. Realize that your people are entrepreneurs. They're suffering. 80% of your people are not doing well. You got to lift them up. You've got to find that way. Take the 5 things that I talked about here, introduce that to them, get them involved, get them to buy in, and that's how you do it. You can't, they'll phone it in all day and they'll tell you what you want to hear, but they're not actually delivering. But if you can get buy-in, but you can't get buy-in unless you buy into them. And these 5 things, and I'll send you, David, I'll send you the list of them.
I think I've taken them. Let me see if I got them. Seriously. I said, you got to work for you. So it's
work for the benefit of others.
Right. And work for that benefit, right? It was, don't judge people when they're at their worst. So always take into consideration what other people's situations are.
See the best in every person.
And learn to, it's funny because Jen, my wife, she says, I don't know if you guys met yet. She says, she told me the other day, she was reading another book and she says, it said something about love the situation. Figure out, instead of being angry or not liking it, figure out what you can love about it. So it's funny because something happened. I go, I love the fact that this and that. And she says, she looks, no, Dave, that's not the way it works. Because I was being snarky about it, right? But it was, look at the positive in the situation. Look at what you can learn from the situation. Stop looking at the negativity around it.
I have a better term for that.
Go for it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is your show, but this is
no. I love it.
When bad stuff comes across your path, and it will.
Yep.
Compost that shit.
Yes.
Compost it. So you take that horse manure. We put poop in our gardens to grow our vegetables, people. Like, take the poop, turn it over in the soil, and grow something out of it.
Oh my God, you know what?
Water that shit.
That is an amazing, crazy, interesting way to look at it. It is so true, though. It is so true. Look, many people will always look at the situation, and we know the glass half full, half empty, right? But they'll look at the problem. And I've got certain people in my life, which they're there, they're not going anywhere. You have to somehow help them change. Okay. And that's the difference. Instead of walking away, it's no, let's look at the other side of the thing. And so there's always going to be, the problem is, no. I don't want to hear about the problem. I want to hear about the opportunity, and let's start working towards a solution.
Yes.
Because we just learned something. We just picked something up, and that's again through people's situations and through your own life and your day-to-day struggle and what you do, you can learn. And so here, when you look at it like this, right? We went down this, and it was, don't judge people when they're at their worst, and don't try and do all the jobs out there. Get people to help you, right? Don't be complacent. Don't get paralyzed with where you are, and stop being so cynical. That's. Am I right on those 5 things? That's essentially what I took.
You are, but something's very important to me, that when you're talking about those things, we want to take the word not and stop and don't out of there, because your brain doesn't process those. Your brain only processes what comes after that. So we've got to phrase everything in the positive. So number 1 is see the best in every person. Yeah. Number 1 is do work for the benefit of others. Number 2 is see the best in every person. Number 3 is do what spend your time with people or the things that you're good at, and your money on everything else. Number 4 is commit to always grow and get better. And number 5 is live so people say, I'll have what she's having.
You see how, everybody listening and watching right now, do you see how that was just spun 2 different ways? I came at it from one way, and I do want to say I haven't got the cynical mindset and everything else, but I took the notes, and this is the way I approached it. And I love the way you just clarified that, because you literally did exactly what we're talking about. You flipped that on, you composted that shit, right?
I did.
That's exactly what you just did, though. It was perfect. And that's what people need
your
to
brain,
do.
your subconscious is only going to hear that stuff. Take the no's and the don'ts. Just think about it. If you have a little bit, whenever you're not sure about what your subconscious is doing, think about what a puppy or a child would do. Don't touch that. They're like, touch this?
Yeah.
Is this what you don't want me to touch? Yeah. Don't put that in your mouth. Like, no, you say, put that down. Put that down.
It's even like when we're doing, our intentions, our morning intentions and gratefulness at nighttime and everything. And one thing that I learned is it's not, you can't sit there and go, one day I will have, because your mind picks up on the one day. And then when is one day? And well, one day is not today, so I don't have it. Well, wrong way to think now.
Yep.
I have this and I am here and I am doing. And that is whether or not you are physically in that presence right there at that moment or not.
Yes.
You've got to physically believe that that's where you're going to be or that's where you are. But it's got to be written down in a way that, you're really locked into
your brain the way it eats it. And it doesn't eat no. Your brain does not eat no.
No. So let me ask you this then. So I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this, and we're talking about happiness and we're talking about how to change that mindset and really come up and become the 20% that makes the 80%, how to get out of a bad situation if maybe you're not very happy with where you are at the moment. So I get up in the morning and I've listened to this and I'm really inspired today and the sun is shining, the skies are blue, I'm having a great day. Shit, I got to answer some emails and I got some phone calls to do and I got to go and I got to show that property and I got to get an offer out to people. And jeez, I got so much to do. I'm starting to get stressed out. Bang. There goes the happiness. Or maybe for the next 12 hours, 24 hours, all is good. But tomorrow morning I wake up in the morning and now it's like, shit, I got all this stuff to do and everything else. And how do I keep up with this thing of going like, I've got to remain happy? I mean, I'll tell you for me, it is about morning intentions and it is about the grateful journal at nighttime and scheduling myself because it allows me to go to bed with a positive mindset. It allows me to wake up and understand where I'm going, why I'm going there and why it's important to me. And it allows me to stay on schedule and on task for the day. So by the end of the day, when I'm going through my grateful journal, even for all the shitty things that happen that pissed me right off, I'm not thinking about them. I'm thinking about the good. That's my suggestion. How do you go about that, Katie?
Well, it's not that different, actually. It has to do. So when I was in just the depths, I have this little green, beautiful, small little green journal. And when I was just grasping for straws and just at the lowest of the low, medicated, like dark. Anyway, I pulled this thing out and I'm like, I have to find something I'm grateful for. And the simple act of searching for something that you're grateful for sends you down a wonderful path. And you're like, am I grateful for that? Well, yeah, that's pretty good. And like, no, maybe I'll find a better one. And then you just kind of go on and go on. And you're like, and your mind, your mood is lifted. This is not an overnight thing. And you generally don't get into a super dark place right away. You generally slowly fall into it unless there was some real tragic event. So you got to slowly work yourself out and it's this persistent habit of pressing the good button, putting the good things out. And I tell you what, I felt like a queen writing thank you notes when actually writing a thank you note and sending it out. And I'm like, somewhere inside me, I just felt like I was like this superwoman. Like, I don't know what it is about that. I honestly don't, but it made me feel powerful and strong and like I mattered. And when a time when I felt like I didn't mean I was
received
nobody.
One of those thank you notes and I can tell you that it does matter and it is cool and it is special and it does sit there on the desk because how many other people are using one of these things these days? Not very many anymore. Right. And so
just made my heart full.
But
I forgot that I sent you one.
This comes back to the happy birthday card. Most people aren't going out there and doing those things that you just did. And I remember physically getting it. I guarantee you I still have it here. Okay. Those are the little things that we stick around that we keep and it means something to people. Those are the little things though that most people in this business go too busy for it. I'm going to go pay somebody to do that without remembering the fact that really what your business is about is building relationships. So you cannot
there's some things you can't
to write your
out.
cards.
No,
right? You can't pay somebody to write your cards for you. I know there's businesses out there that do it. Hell, for the business that I operate with kits and everything else, and people are always asking, oh, can you do the birthday cards there? Why? Why do you want me to do that for you? Oh, you don't have time? Then if you don't have time to wish a happy birthday or say thank you to somebody, guess what? You don't really mean it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you want to come up.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and if you want to come up in the morning and you want to get out of that rut or you want to go get that other deal, stop thinking about how can I get the deal and start thinking about how can I help people? How can I be grateful? How can I look at the positive? And yes, it's not going to deliver a deal today and go, you were a happy person and you said thank you 3 times. Here's a deal.
No,
It doesn't work that way.
No.
But somehow something up there, when you start to live this and you do it consistently and you're persistent, because, and I said this the other day too, it sucks when I have to go at 12:30 at night because I've been going hard all day and I'm about to crash and I'm like, I didn't write in my journal today. One eye squeaking open and you're trying to write in the journal. Come hell or high water, I'm writing in that journal.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 2 tips for the morning. 1, you're going to do the gratitude thing. And 2, so you're doing something. I really want to write, I really want people to write a thank you note. I really want you to do something nice for someone else.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that you can do. Morning you should do something nice for end of the day you. So morning you, make your bed. Just make your bed. Make it real pretty. So that end of the day you comes home and goes, oh my God, morning you, that was so nice.
I love it. Yes, right? That's a cool idea.
Just make your bed. It's like
do
a nice
something. Yeah, do something for yourself even, right?
Yeah, but
these are all those little habits.
I don't want to hear about I don't have the money and I don't have the time. That's bullshit. It's just crap.
Yes.
You can do these tiny little things and then, before you know it, you get a couple bucks and you can do a little bit more. You've got to start these micro habits and they will build. I promise you, they will build.
So even though there's so many people here going, well, just being happy and just helping people doesn't pay the bills. I'm going to take the past 45 minutes together and say, you believe that's complete bullshit. And you're with me on the fact that it in fact does pay the bills.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
What it's
about. And it makes me want to nerd out on my business. Like when I'm supposed, like, okay, sometimes I work on business in church. Okay. That's just what happens. All right. But I love it. I love my business. And it's not that I'm answering these emails. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, I have to say thank you to someone or, oh, that's so cool. Congratulations. Anyway, I digress, which is my habit.
So now in the face of technology, okay, in the face of technology, and that's a complete another rabbit hole. So I don't want to go down there, but where I'm going with that is in the face of technology and the evolution, how do agents, okay, and this should tie in well, how do agents remain relevant in this industry now with all the fact that you've got the technology and you've got the ease of being able to have somebody else do the card, or you can flip a quick message here, but you don't really have to connect. How do these people remain relevant? Or does this all just come back to exactly what we talked about for the past 45 minutes?
Oh, no. I don't, when you said in the face of, you were saying it like it was a bad thing. Like technology is a bad thing.
I guess where I'm going there is that a lot of people, where it's a bad thing is that people have hidden behind it. Okay. So for example, I meet you, I put you in my CRM. I was told to do that. And so I'm doing that. And I set you up on an action plan. And I never call you. I never write you a card. I never do anything. And then I find out you moved, and I'm like, what the? Why didn't you call me?
Yeah.
No, what? Who are you again? Oh, action plan man. Yeah, you're like a superhero. Right? That's where I'm going with its technology. I think that it has helped people hide. I think that our new generation, and I'm not going to paint a brush over everybody who's new generation, and I'm talking like our millennials, the age groups, whatever, the people that are a little bit more in tune, maybe whatever it is.
Yep.
It's helped people kind of go, this isn't necessarily a people business. This is if I put some ads out there, get some leads, I can convert. Yeah. And you're going, nah. Like I had a guy ask me the other day about my take on like Amazon getting into the biz. And I had a whole bunch to say about that. And I tried to sum it up in like a 3.5-minute video or something. And it was about, the fact that most people know a realtor. That's right off the hop. Like you got to think about the fact that most people know a realtor. And then it was this idea of around like cost and trust. And the people that are spending the money being like probably the baby boomer for the millennial, because the millennial doesn't just have the money these days to buy the house for what they cost in most markets, at least our market here. That person is kind of going to go, I'm not just clicking a button to buy a house. I need a person, But again, we've got this new generation or even an older generation that's been in the business that's going, I got to stay behind the computer.
So, disagree.
I disagree with
you. So there is going to be a certain segment of the population that isn't necessarily segmented by age. There's just going to be a certain segment who is separated by their want for convenience and their want for a smoothness and lack of friction. They actually don't want to have an interaction, always had that person. That person has always existed. This is not new. There's always been a market to simplify the process and take the people out of it as much as possible. That has always been true. That will always be true. And these technologies and things and these other models and things are just capitalizing on that. And that's great. Let them. They're never going to get my clients. They are never going to get my people. My people want the contact.
Why?
It's not friction for them.
Why aren't they going to get the people though? Why aren't they going
to get mine? Because my people want the contact. They want the hand holding. They want someone who they can call and be like, Katie, what's up? And by the way, I'm not an idiot. I don't make it hard to sell with me. I make it easy. I make it efficient. I leverage technology to definitely smooth out the skids.
Sure, and use it. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
But see, where I go with that is the why they want to work with you is they want somebody. I mean, I'll tell you now, I want to be able to reach out and like, you know what I mean? Something's up, right? I want you to come to my home and I want you to sit there while me and my wife are bitching and complaining about the color of the tiles or the paint or whatever. I want you there. I want to make sure I'm safe. And I want to know I've got somebody to talk to about being safe. I don't want to call a hotline and wait on hold so somebody somewhere can talk to me about something they know nothing about.
Yeah.
I see the why though is not just because they want a person. They want you because of how you treat them and the things you do and all the stuff you've been mentioning today about how you live your day. They're obviously feeling that from you, that reciprocity, that she's helpful, she's there, she's friendly, she's happy, she does what you did to me today, inspires, right? I mean, that's the why.
I also have lots of parties, David. I have a lot of parties.
I
have one coming up. You're invited.
Thank you to Facebook. Yeah, thank you. I do have to come back to Cape Cod. I came out there years ago with my father. I think I told you this one, with my mom, my dad, and my sister. We drove from Toronto. We drove out there, spent, I don't even remember. I was a little guy at the time. Yeah, I certainly need to get back there.
Oh my God. I would love that.
Spot. It is a cool spot for sure. So we've gone over a lot. Have you got any parting thoughts just before we go? You've told us about some books, and I am going to look up the Leadership and Self-Deception. You told us about the song. We're going to check out Sasha. In that, I've got a quick question on that, talking about books. Have you ever heard of The Alchemist?
Oh, yes. It was one of the books we did in the book club.
I started that. What day is today? Today is Thursday. I started that Monday. I should finish it by tonight. I was a little hesitant, and I heard some good things and I listened to it, and I'm an Audible guy. So it's like, I listened to it. And I kind of went, I'm not sure. And then I finally, I did download it and I started turning it on. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, I like this story. Like, where is this going? And it's the story. It's interesting because it is very different than a lot of the books I've been reading. The story itself though is so inspiring. Like, you're so hooked into what this little boy is going to experience and where he's going to go. And then there's all those amazing underlying lessons that you really got internalized as you listen. Anyways, I thought I enjoyed it. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm like literally in the midst of sort of reading it right now.
I love it. And after you do that one, if you want another one that's a little bit like that, read Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach.
Hold on. What's it called? Jonathan
Livingston Seagull.
Okay. And that's by who? I'll look it up. Okay, that's
BACH.
Cool. I'm gonna check.
So parting thought. I want to give your listeners a present. So we don't send holiday cards. Our group doesn't. Half of my clientele doesn't celebrate Christmas. I'm very busy in December. I'm focusing on my family and business planning, hunkering down and analyzing all that stuff. So instead of Christmas, we do a gratitude campaign, which we're in the middle of right now. And so it maps out, and you're going to touch everybody who's made your business good this year. That's not just your clients, co-brokes, vendors, team members, management, admins, family, everybody, a way to touch everybody with gratitude. Everybody celebrates gratitude. It's not special. And it's happening at a time of year when nobody else is doing anything else, and they're not getting the rest of those machine done cards. It's coming from you, and it's really personal. So I've got a whole map of how that works out, and I'll connect with you and give you a link to how people can just go grab it.
Love it. How can people connect with you if they wanted to just follow you? Where can they follow you? If anything.
start at katieclancy.com. You can check out what I'm up to over there. And then you can follow me at Hell Yeah Bacon, HELLYEAHBACON, on all social. And if you want to see what I'm up to on the real estate side of things, because I kind of kill it in marketing, is see me anywhere at the Cape House, and also the capehouseteam.com.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. I encourage everybody, connect with her, follow her. Like I started off today's show, from the moment that I was listening to your presentation a number of years ago, you had me on the edge of my seat. And then I know that the next time that you were back on stage, I was like, oh my God, I got to go see her again. And I was really, really, really fortunate to be able to do that. So I encourage everybody, go follow Katie. Do it today. Do not wait. If you're looking for any of the handles or anything, I know I've been storying and tagging her and doing stuff. So
you
if you
have
need
done
any more
it.
connection points, you let me know. But this did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you know, as much as I know that I'm going to be inspired by you when I speak to you, and as much as I know there's going to be so much great conversation, it's almost like I'm never actually prepared for everything I'm about to learn from you. So I am grateful for that, and I thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you so much for getting me on here. I am fired up now.
Yeah.
So look out, everybody.
It's going to be an amazing rest of the day today. You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you went to industrysyndicate.com or even mindshare101.com. Wherever you like to consume your content, please rate, review, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at DavidGreenspan101. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thanks everyone for listening.